Between August 1966 and the summer of 1969, the Pritchard family was seriously affected by paranormal activity in their house at 30 East Drive, Pontefract in West Yorkshire, UK. The paranormal activity, or poltergeist type behaviour, was given the name Fred, but the media called him Mr. Nobody. The poltergeist conjured up a huge catalogue of activity that was both diverse and fascinating. When the family first moved into the new house, the parents, Jean and John Pritchard, went away on a short 8-day break, as it was a bank holiday. So their teenage son Philip and his grandmother were the first to move in and spend their first night there. The young man and his grandmother were to witness the first of many unusual events in the house. The first weird happening was seeing a fine layer of chalky dust fall from mid-air and settle on every surface. But what was strange was that the dust had not come from the ceiling, but from shoulder height. There was so much chalk dust scattered around that Philip and his auntie had to do a huge clean-up. When his auntie was preparing to clean, she found a puddle of water on the floor, but every time she attempted to mop up the water, a new puddle would form in front of her. She could not believe what she was seeing. When the parents arrived back from their short break, the poltergeist behaviour not only continued, but escalated. They would hear loud breathing noises at different times, loud drumming and other banging noises. Huge footprints were left around the house. House keys fell from the chimney, hitting one of them on the head, but the keys could not be identified. On another occasion, they found a white mohair coat in a pile of coal, and when they removed it, there was not a stain on it. Drawers started moving in and out. Jam was smeared on doors and stairs. Eggs had somehow lifted out of their container and appeared in mid-air. A pair of one of the family's gloves appeared over and under doors. Furniture moved through the air. A local skeptic who refused to believe any of the stories found that when she was in the house, the poltergeist had opened the fridge and slowly lifted a jug of milk above her head and then proceeded to pour it over her. A grandmother clock was destroyed when it was picked up and thrown down the stairs. A heavy perfume smell would suddenly appear, and bedclothes were thrown off of the beds. A mattress lifted off of the bed and dropped on the floor, while the people were still on it. A wooden pelmet was torn off and thrown onto the street. A strip of wallpaper came away and started swaying like a cobra, and green foam started to come out of the taps, and a potato was thrown so hard that it shattered on the wall. Photographs were slashed by some invisible blade. The list of disturbances would have been enough to drive out the bravest of individuals, but Jean Pritchard and the family refused to be run out of their home and sought help to rid them of the destructive spirit. Jean invited several priests to help exorcise the entity, but they were assaulted and mocked in various ways by being slapped and pushed. A pair of ghostly hands came from nowhere and appeared to compose in mid-air. Initially, the entity they had named Fred appeared to be harmless and mischievous, but his antics started to take a more sinister tone when he started to focus his attention on their 14-year-old daughter, Diane, where she was frequently left with scratches and bruises. At one stage, it became violent when it dragged her up the stairs, leaving marks on her throat. So, who was the entity that was wreaking havoc on the house? And, over the years, there were many explanations as to who or what it could have been. Occasionally, his apparition would appear wearing long black robes, and although the press called him Mr. Nobody and the family nicknamed him Fred, his apparition seemed to point to someone in the church, and he was given the name the Black Monk. One common explanation that goes back hundreds of years mentions a medieval monk who was hanged nearby for seriously assaulting and taking the life of a young girl, where his body was then thrown down a well. The location of the well is now under the house at 30 East Drive. Other historians dismiss the theory of the monk and claim that Fred was a twin of a murderer and was blamed and suffered for his brother's criminal behaviour, resulting in a restless spirit out for revenge. However, there is a strong possibility there could have been more than one entity, as his behaviour was too extreme, ranging from mischievous and playful to downright threatening. Others have suggested that it could be an elemental spirit that is controlling the other spirits in the house. Elemental spirits are emotion-driven ghosts with the ability to manipulate one of the four elements of fire, air, water or earth and retain aspects of their mortal identity. This could be why chalk dust and water had appeared out of nowhere. Unfortunately, experts could only theorise as to who really caused so much disturbance. However, when poltergeist activity does break out, there is a theory that it could be the energy of a teenager who invariably has no control and is totally unaware that they are causing the disturbances. Today the property is owned by a movie producer by the name of Bill Bungay, who produced a movie called When the Lights Went Out. The movie was based around the horrifying experiences of the Pritchard family. It was making the movie that intrigued him so much that made him purchase the house. But Bungay remained sceptical of the events that surrounded the house, but added that if it was a mischievous spirit, it had been so long since the strange events happened that whoever was causing the disturbances was probably long gone. But that was not the case when a string of strange disturbances changed his opinions of the house. Although Bungay purchased the property, he never resided there. And there is a neighbour called Carol who is a caretaker at the property who claims to have experienced paranormal activity herself. She said that there had been a period of relative peace shortly before Pritchard sold the house to the producer, but the disturbances later returned. Today, the house is open to visitors, but people are advised not to spend the night there, as they would not be covered by insurance. Even with the warnings, the waiting list to inspect the property is very long, especially by paranormal hunters hoping to come face to face with the Black Monk, or at least catch it on camera. However, one investigator called Peter Bolton of Ghost Inspectors Paranormal Group investigated the property and took photographs near the spot where 14-year-old Diane Pritchard and the family claimed she'd been dragged around by an invisible hand many years before. Bolton stated that he took many random photos in the hallway and stairwell, and one photo that he took was particularly dark, so he put it in the computer to brighten the image. He then noticed a weird shape in the mirror and knew that it could not have been anyone in his group, as they were all downstairs. When he further inspected the images, he was shocked to see a face in the mirror wearing a black hood or black hair, staring back at the camera.